and thank you very much for pressing play for this. Not really a tutorial, but more like I'm sharing my experience as a working from home person, and I hope a few nuggets in this video will be useful to you. So I've been doing working from home kind of role since 1997 when we had dial-up modems and we had two free phone lines and all that situation. So yeah, I've been doing this since before maybe some of the viewers of the videos were born, which says I'm starting to get really old. So working from home topics, we're going to cover 5 topics. This is a short video, and it's really that simple. Don't worry about it. There's no rocket science here. Now, you want to get yourself a decent home setup. You want to, if you can afford this in your home, to have a room dedicated for your work, where at closing time, you close the lights, you turn off the phone, you shut down the computer, close the door, walk away. That is brilliant. That's the ultimate. Not everybody can actually get this, but that is desirable. And you also want to choose a place in your home where you're away from distractions when the kids come in from home, or if you have deliveries or other people working from home. You want to try to keep things peaceful and reduce distractions for obvious reasons. Now, your workspace is really important because you're going to be spending a lot of time there, and you want to manage your ergonomics. I'm a big fan of either a dual monitor setup or a large monitor setup. I'm running on a 34-inch, and I won't go back because I can do a whole lot more on one screen, and my neck is focused in the middle of my screen, and I have a bad vertebrae situation, and that helps a lot. Now, full keyboard and mouse, because working on a laptop will not do you any good from either a productivity perspective or from a strain perspective. Quality chair. Odds are your employer is going to give you an allowance or an amount to go out and buy what you need. And in this context, actually spend that money on good office furniture. Don't go buy toys. I've seen those situations. People talk at the dog park, and they're like, really? Talk to me in 2 years about working on a kitchen chair. Desk space is crucial as well, because you still have to get work done and you need enough room to do whatever you're going to do. Lighting, heating for obvious reasons, and noise. Yes, I have a dog, so you need to be able to manage that situation. If anything rings a doorbell, either in a TV show or in real life, my dog will be like, whoa. So be prepared to manage those distractions, and have an emergency digital meeting office. Like, oh crap, I gotta jump on a Teams call in 1 minute. Emergency shirt, wear shorts and flip-flops, we're fine. So just don't forget to wash it once in a while. And let's jump in my favorite part of this, which is tech. I'm a geek at heart, so let's talk about plumbing and 2 concepts. First and foremost, let's bring the plumbing in to bring enough bandwidth for your home. Now you've got 1, 2, 3 adults working from home sometimes. You've got kids, and how much bandwidth do I need? So acceptable minimums is something that we need to build from, and you can go up. In my neighborhood, I can get up to 1.5 gigabits per second if I really want to. Don't need it, but it's available. But not everybody is in a situation where you can get good bandwidth. So these are minimums, very basic, strict minimums you need to look at from an app perspective. I would go at a minimum of 10 megabits upload and download per person that works from home. Anything below that, you're going to possibly see some delays, some lags and stuff like that, and it's not fun. Acceptable minimums for asymmetrical, or the download is bigger than the upload applications. Just to give you an idea, if the kids are home from school and they're watching Netflix in 4K, that's 25 megabits per TV, right? Watching HD YouTube is 4 megabits, and they're playing League of Legends, this much, and they're playing Fortnite, this much. So look at how much you need, look at your local offers in your area, and make a decision. It's that simple. But really, the hard part in all this is typically Wi-Fi. And this is the side of my house We moved here 3 years ago, and this has been a learning experience for Wi-Fi, so I can share some pains. You've got to measure your size of property because that's how Wi-Fi is actually sold per square foot, at least on a consumer basis. And number of devices versus number of users, and is your ISP router good enough? You can have this amazing plan. Let's say you get a gigabit per second. But Wi-Fi feels slow. Often the problem is the router. Let me explain. I'm going to try to keep this simple. Your ISP supplied router has a brain called a system on a chip, or SoC. And that SoC, that brain, processes the security, the internet management, Wi-Fi, and everything else. So the more you ask it to do, the least amount of resources are going to be available. So depending on how good that piece of equipment is, well, performance can, So you may want to look at separating Wi-Fi from the router, and there you can actually see stuff go back up. It's situational, of course, but it's a good place to look at if you see that you're lacking throughput against what you're paying. Second thing is you want to get a decent signal. There's plenty of apps out there to measure signal, and you just put it on your Android or your iPhone and walk around the house and just measure against your router how much you've got. It's measured in negative decibels. Don't ask me why, I don't know. And you want to get at least minus 60 for a good, strong signal. The smaller the number, the better. Don't ask. In my house, I have wood, concrete, metal. I have 6 half floors because it's a split level, and the green lines there are heated floors, which kind of create a Faraday cage. So signal has issues getting through, depending on how far you are from the Wi-Fi access point that I put in the front of the house. So what I've done is I've distributed a 3 commercial grade access point because I love these toys and I know how to use them. And that mesh covers the whole thing, including the backyard and up to a few neighbors now. And my problem was, after this, that I've discovered is wiring. I cannot actually fish cable in this house because there's no direct way to do it. And B, we painted the house before I realized all this. My wife won't let me reopen the walls, right? So I decided to try Ethernet over Powerline, which didn't work because my setup here is just too old. So I'm using Ethernet over coax, which is something I discovered almost randomly, but it saved my life. So you can actually create some really funky networking combinations and setups. And you can look at consumer grade product, you can look at commercial grade product, depending on your level of technical prowess. And there are ways to make everything work. I visited a house with my friends. He just bought a house, and we just measured the DP signals around the house, and we know where to put the Wi-Fi router. So when he works and his wife works, everybody gets signal, that kind of situation. It took 10 minutes. It's worth the little effort. Last but not least, Wi-Fi is managed by channels. And in my case here, because I'm the last unit of a series of townhouses, there's not much signal, signals that impede on each other. But there's this thing known as channels, and if you don't manage your channels properly, you're going to have channels fighting with all your neighbors in condos and apartment buildings and student residences, and you're not going to get the max out of what you can get. There's plenty of online guides to learn to do this. It's not complicated, but this is what I went through, and these are ways to get Wi-Fi going in your house because Wi-Fi is life. Now, managing family life. My kids at the time of recording are 19 and 22, and my oldest studies out of town, so the situation is different now, but been working from home since 97. You got to put in some rules. If there's a signal, like the door's closed, or there's a red cardboard sign on the door, mommy, daddy's working, do not interrupt unless it's an absolute emergency. And while you're at it, give your kids a few responsibilities to keep them busy, like, oh, look, dishes. And pets are fun to manage. As I mentioned, we have a dog, and he hears the doorbell, and once in a while in those videos I'm recording, you'll see him go back in and go back out, and it is what it is. It is family, home, work, life. If you're in a multi-people Zoom and people aren't muted and one dog barks in one house, well, guess what happens, right? And as for food for family life, there's an opportunity here to improve things, and meal prep is one of those places we can make easy gains. Two things we've been doing, and we never quit, even though if we don't have the younger kid family situation. We love our slow cooker, and if you want to get actually good recipes for slow cooker, RicardoCuisine.com. We've got his 2 books. They're brilliant, and he's got pretty much all those recipes online. He's going to give you plenty of options. You just start it in the morning or at lunch, cook, and by the time everything is cooked, you're done with your day, kids are here, we can have dinner. And it's so good to have that level of simplicity. And as for meal planning, cookingfortherush.com, the author, her credentials is having 7 kids, so she had to learn a whole bunch of tricks. And she made like 4 or 5 cookbooks, and her second one is her favorite, the one Cooking for the Healthy Family, and we went through 2 copies because cooking sauces. But take a look at these things, and I hope they can help your family life. Now, health, and this is something that very few guides to work from home will actually touch, and it's really important. First and foremost, when you commute to work, you log footsteps. When you work from home, you don't log footsteps in the same quantity, so you are exercising less. You may want to find a way to go out and go for a walk and compensate for that lack of movement. And also, snacking opportunities are really tempting on a regular basis. And from a mental health perspective, do take the time to dress up once in a while. It feels good to wear professional clothes. It helps set up the mind. Discipline can be a challenge because it's easy to start too early or too late. I used to tell people that you measure an employee's productivity from home on their lawn. If the lawn is in a decrepit state like mine used to be before we moved, working too hard. If the lawn is great, not working hard enough, or outsourcing. And from a mental health perspective, isolation is a big problem that people discover after a while. You get to feel lonely, and it's tough. Humans are social animals, so go out for lunch, set up friends for lunch, or groups of friends for lunch. Set up a regular neighborhood. We meet at the park for lunch. Whoever can make it, and just see people. Go to a fast food joint to grab a sandwich or something. Just that. Last but not least, because I live in Canada, it gets dark early in November, and that's kind of depressing. And what I've done to fix that is my house is automated. If you get to know me, you won't be surprised. And I prepared schedules where certain rooms will light up at a certain time of the day, like 20 minutes before the sun goes down. So whenever I walk in the house, it's not dark. It's simple, but it makes a difference. And, it's just more enjoyable. Now, managing the balance, right? That's the secret sauce. That's the recipe. Now what? If you have employees to manage, how do you make this work? Trust is the only way that you can go forward with, in my opinion, because you have to take into account that if you put a spyware or monitorware, or whatever you call it, where there's legislation in place in certain regions of the world that prevents you from doing that, and frankly, you won't gain much because all you'll have is a management team monitoring people. That's kind of creepy and useless, frankly. You want to flip around the mindset. It's not easy, but managing by objectives is probably the best way to go. Set targets. You can't monitor what people do. That's fine. Set the expectations and run your team against those expectations. Salespeople have been running like this for eons, and it's an acquired practice, if you will. So go steal a page from sales playbook. And a thing that you need to take into account is respecting time zones and co-worker schedules. And that will lead to people leaving your organization or joining your organization. A friend of mine in the CRM space slash ERP space, he does consulting on that. His company has less than 10 employees right now, but he just hired a guy on the West Coast and he's East Coast. And they agree, like, yeah, no problem. You just make sure you're available from this time you're in your time zone to this time in your time zone so we can talk, and the rest, we're fine. And the employees signed because of that. Because there was that respect of time zones, schedules, family life as part of the corporate culture. So, and this worker shortage that we're experiencing, employee shortage, this is a easy way to win. Thank you very much for bearing with this little experience-driven tutorial. If you have any questions, drop me a line. Don't be shy. Thanks, and have a great day.